Disclaimer. All right. I'm going to use words, and I'm going to make it really, really easy. Don't hurt your head. Don't rack your brain. Everything that I say, I'll explain. If I don't, while I'm talking, just jot down a little note, and I'll answer the question to the best of my ability. And who am I? Who am I? I'm Batman. My name is Marika Davis. That kind gentleman that came in here to speak is my husband, and I just pretty much hang around here and do cool stuff sometimes. That's my mom, and that's my cousin, and that's my aunt. And those are my great aunts. I mean, Sabrina said she's my best friend. I guess she's taking over for her sister since she kind of just fell off. So she's my surrogate best friend, and everybody else. And they're like, yeah, Jazz, she all right. No. Okay, so what else? Anybody else want to know anything about me? Anything? I have kids. They're small. They might come in here. Just ignore them. They're nobody. No. Okay, so I have this board, and because I have this board, I think I need a pen. And so I'm going to use this. At first we weren't, so it was all pretty up here, and then I was like, but if I say stuff, and you don't know what I'm talking about, then it's all for naught. So, this is my handy pen. My lesson is actually on the first page, and it says Abba, Yah at the top. So I'm going to do a couple of definitions. Stephanie already dealt with Yah. It's Psalm 68 and 4. Now that's just one place. But everywhere in your Bible where you see Lord, capital L-O-R-D most of the times, if you have a Bible, or if you know what a Strong's Concordance is, most people in here do. If you don't, jot that down. That'll be one of the questions I answer. You can look it up, and you're going to see something that looks like this. This is not my lesson, by the way. Don't take this off it. Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. It'll look like that. And that is God, as we call, or the Lord, his name in Hebrew. Now, why is it significant that his name is in Hebrew? And that it's not in Greek, or it's because in Greek it would be Theos. I don't know how to write, and I was going to write it backwards like this, which is funny. You want to see how that looks? Yeah. Because that would not have worked. English. Theos. Okay, so that would be the Greek word for his name, right? So Theos, though, names mean something. We all have names, and most of our names don't mean anything. It means my mom gave it to me and she liked it, or my dad liked it. God's name is not like that, and nobody else in the Bible's name is like that. Names mean something. The way he gave them means something. The way he gives his name means something. Exodus chapter 3:14 is where he tells us what his name is. And his name actually means, and I'll have to write this down because it's English, I am that I am. That doesn't mean anything to us, right? I am that I am. Or it means I will be who I will be, or he exists, right? That's a little different from Theos, which means just like high and mighty God, all-knowing, all-existing one. A little different because when he says I am, he means everything. Like I am everything. I'm the one that sustains everything. So this is a little different than just a title. So a name and a title are different. God has one name, lots of titles. You've heard Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Nisi. These are all titles. You have a name with a modifier or something that defines it. I am God, your healer. I am God, your sustainer. So those are titles. He has one name. So I'm going to use his name today because he wants us to. Because he loves us. And when you love somebody, like Monet, I use her, Marvin uses her now in the sermon, she said she didn't know my grandma's name. And so she was like, that's my mom. And so it's funny, like, then she finally, of course, learned her name. But if I get lost and I say, I need to find my mom. You know how many my moms are out there? Everybody calls their mom my mom. So what Yah does is, I'm going to tell you my name. So when you get lost and you call on me, you're calling directly to me. My name. And so he gives us that, so then when we pray and we talk to him, it's personal. Because all of us believe it's a personal relationship. Well, what's more personal than being able to talk to the person with their name? And what it means and what it carries with it. He knows us by name. He knows every hair on our head. At least we should know his name. Amen. Right? Okay, so I'm going to use his name. So now that's out of the way, you know why I'm using it. And now I'm going to go into my lesson. Okay, so my lesson is about the Father. And the theme of how we set up the conference is, it's pretty much based on the principle of a seed. And how everything in the Bible is cyclical. So we're going to see the same things over and over and over and over again, and they mean something to us. And so we need to know how to go through these particular stages, especially seen in the stages of a seed, because that's how the Bible is set up. I know if I asked, and I probably won't because it's a few of us in here, but if I said, what do you think the Bible's about? And you can raise your hand if you think it's about this. Think the Bible's about God sending his son to save all of humanity. That's probably an answer most people give me. Or Bible's about how God loved the whole world, that he sent his own son, and that's the whole. Or that God or Jesus came so that we didn't have to go to hell. I mean, those are like general blanket terms. What if I told you that is not what the Bible's about at all? And that's a part of it, but that's not the overall theme of the Bible. I know that sounds completely crazy because that's what we always hear from everyone around us. What the Bible is about? The Bible is about the seed, and it's about a capital S-E-E-D. And we get it from the beginning. So, everything begins with a seed. It is the seed that houses the life of the future plan. So, did you know that every seed has life in it? I just learned this, which is funny. I'm a little amateur gardener. And you know when you see a seed, it just looks like nothing, right? Well, a seed, this is from biology class, a seed actually has in it life. It's closed up and it can sit on it. It can sit like this on a table for thousands and thousands of years and nothing will happen. But in it is life, and what's in it, there's actually food for the living plant that's inside the seed, and it's sustaining inside the seed. But it'll only stay like that until you put it in the soil. So there's life already in the seed, and so the seed is waiting for the opportunity, though, to come forth and be what it's supposed to be. But first it needs to be planted. So everything about this process has been interwoven into our existence, and is even an intricate part of our faith and our salvation. So today we'll be covering how the whole Bible has to do with the seed and how it's important to every single one of us. So if you have a Bible, I want you to turn to Isaiah 46 and 10. And I'm going to, while you're turning there, I'll keep dialoguing so I don't use up time. 46 and 10. Any kind of bias is a lie. If I'm biased about something, then I'm withholding information about something else. Right? Mm-hmm. So the same is true if I take a Bible and I only pick half of it. Mm-hmm. I'm withholding some truth if I only take half of the book. So if a person tells you, you only have to read this half because this is what's now important, but you don't know what's in this half, mind you, the major portion of the book is in the first half. If they tell you that, then it's a bias. It's a bias based on more than likely a lack of knowledge on that first part. Don't ask me nothing about this first part, so I don't know nothing about this first part. Normally it's how it is. But this is what that verse says. It says, the end is declared out of the beginning. So if I only read the end, then I'll never know. If I don't read the beginning, I'll never know the end. I'll have a partial report. And a partial report is a lie. Because you can't properly convey to a person what anything in the end is because you don't know the beginning. Can somebody read the whole thing? Because it actually goes a little bit further. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
Declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, I will do all my pleasure. Calling a ravenous bird from the east, the man...
Oh, that's enough. You don't have to go. Just that part. Right, this is verse 10. So he's declaring the end of the matter out of the beginning. So if you read the end, which is the New Testament, is the part of the end, because everything hasn't been fulfilled. He hasn't come back yet, and there's still other things that need to be done. So it's part of the end. So how am I going to know the full end? Well, it's in the beginning. So that's where we're going. We're going straight to the beginning. Okay, the Bible starts off unveiling key truths. The truth has nothing to do with how mankind has tried to philosophize them. The earth starts off with a story, but for a point. It tells you that for a reason. Y'all didn't put the creation story at the beginning so we could argue with people about who created heaven and earth. That's not even the argument at all. It's being proven that it couldn't have just happened out of nowhere. We don't need to argue that. But why does he put creation first and not, let's say, Jesus first at the beginning? Yeshua. Why is he not the first thing that opens up? We'll talk about him. I switched you that he is, first of all, but he starts off with something very important. He lays down a foundation for who he is. So, you have a piece of paper in your little thing. I want you to draw me a picture of a family. That's really cute, right? But you have a blank sheet. Draw me a picture of a family. And you don't have to be a good drawer. You can draw like you do in the 3rd grade. Draw me that picture. And then when you're done, I want you to hold it up like Jade does when she's done drawing something. Look! It's you! And I'm like, no, that's not me. At least I don't think I look like that. Now y'all don't get all fancy. She got hair going on over here. She making sure it's wavy. Okay. See, you got a car in yours. She's like, this is part of my family. But you have a house and a mom and a dad and a kid. You better put some more kids on there. I'm your kid. She only claiming 2 right now. Justina, your picture got a bump. Your picture. Justina's stick figure is pregnant. Okay. Oh yeah. Now it look like the Brady Bunch. That's about right. There you go. Where Eli and where your bump? Oh, okay. Okay. So can I see what we got? I'm not gonna judge your art. See, okay, she got stick family. You got a stick family. And so I'm gonna guess, and I didn't even look at everybody's picture, but I'm gonna guess your picture looks something like this.
You draw them up.
Right. No little sun. I like sun in my pictures. I like trees in my pictures too. So, this is. Did your stick figure have a triangle dress? Because that's how I draw. And everybody in my picture is bald-headed. And I'm gonna do a little chicken because we got chickens in our house. Okay. What if I told you that this is what the whole Bible's about? This little silly picture. It's the whole thing. The whole Bible is about this. It's about, wait. Where my grass?
Oh, you have the grass.
Oh yeah, where my tumbleweeds. I wish I had grass.
You got some rows of vegetables in your garden.
Yeah, that's my garden. Okay, so the whole Bible is about this: a piece of land, a house, and a family. Everything in the Bible can literally be reduced down. Not really reduced, but it can be surmised in that. Okay, so you have a mother, a father, a home, and some land. Creation doesn't start off with the 10 Commandments for this reason. There's something that Yah wants to tell us from the beginning, and that is this little place that you're on, whether you think it's a sphere or it's flat, that I created this. I created a home for you. I gave you land, and I separated the land from the waters and the sky. Look at that. Now it looks like a smiley face. And I did this. And then what did he do? He gave him a garden, a piece of land to work. And then he put man in the midst of the garden. See the picture now? So why does he do all this? He does all this, and he doesn't talk about his law initially, not that you can see in English. He doesn't talk about any of this. What he does, he defines something. I'm God. I made you. I'm in control. So because I'm the Father, and this is my house, the whole earth is my house. Everybody is subject to me. I make the rules, and you do what I say. Now, if we would have made our own house, and then Yada came knocking at your door like, you need to do this. You'd be like, no, I did this myself. You go tell somebody else what to do. Everybody on the planet is subject to him and his rule. Just like everybody on the planet needs him and his Savior for salvation. It's the same thing. We all need him to do something. Okay. So, on this planet, we have order and we have rules. We have rules in our little city that don't exist in other cities. We have rules in our state that don't exist in other states. We have rules in our country that don't exist in other countries. There's always rules around us all the time, so keep that in the back of your mind. And these rules are said to be, I might disagree with some of them in America, they're set to be for our protection. We have law enforcement and speeding rules for our protection. You can live getting in a car accident about 65 miles per hour. Try driving at 100 and smack into something. You might not make it. So there's rules and they're set up for your protection. Okay, so let me move on down. These rules that Yah has set up, he doesn't set them up in the beginning because he compels us first with his love. We don't just see God's love when God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. God so loved the world when he created it, or he wouldn't have made it. Right? So he loved us way before he loved us, before even the foundation of this, because he set up salvation before the foundation of the earth. So he has always been in the loving business. He wasn't just mean, and then I got nice when I sent Jesus. No, I've been nice this whole time, and I've been patient, and I've been kind, and I've been long-suffering. I've been all these things, and I'm continuing to be all these things because I'm continuing to sustain this earth even when people don't want to listen to me and reject me. That's really, really, really loving, because we wouldn't do it. If somebody was rejecting us, I don't got to listen to nothing you say, but I'll take everything you got. I'll take this oxygen, and I'll take your food, but I don't want to hear nothing you have to say. Actually, don't even come to my house. Don't tell me what to do in my house. Don't tell me what I can eat in my house. Don't tell me what I can wear. See what I mean? You'd be like, but I gave you the clothes. What if I just stopped giving you clothes? It would be a little interesting. Okay, so he does this. He compels us with his love and his care. The rules of this earth are a residual effect of him creating it and giving you somewhere to be. So now that I've created it, I'm going to give you some rules so you can sustain in this place. You don't know as much about it as I know about it. I created it. So if I tell you to do something or to not do something, it's because I created it. I know how everything functions. I know how you work because I created you. I know what works best for you. I know what you should and should not do. I know what you should and should not eat. I know where you should and should not go. I know the kind of company you should and you should not keep. Why? Because I'm the Father. And I know better. He knows way better than we do about a lot of things. And then when we mess up, guess what we go to? Oh, God, please, can you fix this? Oh, no. I have rules for that. You don't want to listen to him, but you want me to fix it because I know best. Okay, so Ab, now we're getting to the good part. How much time do I have? Is somebody timing?
You're fine.
I'm doing good? Okay, so the Hebrew word for father, and I know you guys have heard Abba. That's like, it's, most people say daddy, but it's a little more intricate than that. Ab looks like this in English, Ab, and in Hebrew it looks like this. And I'm going to give you this one for free. I'm not going to make you work for it. Ab is an ox. This is what this represents in paleo. So remember in the old, when you were in school and you used to look at those pictures that the Native Americans drew on the wall, and they'd have a little ox, and then they have like a little sun, and you're like, oh, but what that looks like is a person was out in the sun and they were hunting, and this is the thing they hunted. Okay, so primitively, that's how people wrote. So it wasn't until later on, not much later, but later on, that people changed the pictures. Like we just drew a picture, we know everybody is a family. It's a picture of a family. I don't have to write family to let you know that. Same thing. So what we get later are characters like A and B that represent something. Now in English, an A is not for apple. It's just an A. And B is not for bear. But in Hebrew, every character actually has a meaning behind it. This A actually used to look like this. You know what it kind of looks like? If you thought about an animal, what does it look like?
Cow.
Right, or a deer. You know, like the little horns. See a little, or it would actually look like more like this. That help? If I put little eyes on it. See that? Yeah, smile. Okay. Now it looks like a chip. Okay, so it would be an ox. That was the strongest thing they had. So you think about an ox, it would plow your ground, it would do all these things. So the ox, when I think about strength, I'm going to think about stuff that I can see, touch, taste, feel, smell, hear. It's not stuff that doesn't exist, like unicorns. You know, I don't know, maybe they do. But he's going to pick something that he can see, a person. I'm going to pick this. So ox is strong. So this aleph means strong, strength. This bet actually used to look like this. And that is something like that. It actually, it's like this. Let's be accurate. You know what that is? It's a floor plan of a house. How cute, right? They're all fancy. The house was separated like this. Men are on this side. Well, men are on this side. Women are on this side. Right? You know why it's open on the man's side? The man actually continues the seed. His seed's not closed off. So that's why a house was kind of built like that. They built stuff like how they knew things were. Women are on this side. They house and protect the seed. That's why it's closed off. It's cute, right? So, this literally means strength of the house. That's who Yah is. He's the the strength of the house. Okay? That's as far as my Hebrew lesson goes for today, by the way. I don't have to go any further. Okay, but it also has to do with the tense. So on your page, actually on the part where it tells you like who's speaking and what their lessons are about, so I think it's like one page back, there's 2 pictures of nomadic tents. See them? Yeah, no, 1 page back, the other way. You see them? In the middle of the tent on the top, and I don't know if you can see it that clearly, but there's like this little stick or pole in the middle. You see it? You got it? One more back toward the front, this page. Okay. So there's like a little boy standing inside of a tent. You see how the tent's kind of like popped up in the middle? Okay. In a nomadic tent, which all of the people in the Bible lived in, they live in castles like princes, even though I know it's a King James Version Bible. They live in castles. They lived in tents, and then when you got to like temples and kings, and they lived in like, not like palaces like we see now, but it was tent living initially. Abraham lived in a tent. He was a nomad. So that pole in the middle is actually the strength of the house. The whole house is supported by that thing in the middle. Everything else around it is just kind of propping up the sides, but the strength of the house is that pole. So that's who Yah is. And so, now without getting graphic and making all you church ladies clutch your pearls, clutch my pearls, we use idioms in our language all the time. Like idioms are like sayings, or we take something, we apply something to it that doesn't really mean that. Okay, so if these people are nomadic, and if they understand that the strength of the house of the man, he continues the seed, and then he's called the pole, there's also another part of this. The man also plants the seed. He is the seed planter. He is the gardener, okay, for the home. And the pole is what is used to continue the house. See it? You got it? Okay, I'm glad you guys got it. I didn't have to go any further with that. Okay. The pole is also it gives off fruit for the rest of the house. Because in the seed bearing fruit, it is going to then bring life. So then a woman takes seed and she creates life. Her womb is the soil. And she brings forth fruit. It's the fruit of her womb. Okay. So, seeds are the most important part of a plant. The roots, the leaves, the flowers, and the fruit all exist so there can be seed. If the seeds fell straight to the ground beneath the plant that bore them, it would be too crowded to thrive. So the seeds must be scattered or dispersed. So who's doing the scattering and dispersing the seed? Yeah. So whoever is, now let's check this out. I'm going to go to the New Testament. Whoever is born of Yah doesn't commit sin. I define that. For his seed remaineth in him. His seed, meaning Yah's seed, is in him. And he cannot sin because he is born of God. So, does that mean that we're all sinless? No. So then there must be another definition for that, right? So what is sin? Anybody know the definition of sin? And I mean the biblical definition of sin. And not anybody in this front row.
Yeast.
Huh? Right. So sin, James 3:14, am I right? Am I in the ballpark? Or 1 John 3:4. 1 John 3:4. Sin is transgression of the law. Oh my gosh, that's in the New Testament, and they said law. We're all going to die, right? No. Because we're going to deal with later what keeping something means. So, if sin is transgression of the law, and his seed does not commit sin, then what does that mean? Does that mean that they don't ever break his law? No, it doesn't mean that either. It means that they don't ever purposely do anything. Because Yah's seed is an obedient seed. So what was the difference between Yah's seed and all the other seeds throughout the Bible? We're going to run it down. Cain and Abel. Cain was not an obedient seed. Abel was. Jacob and Esau. Esau, not an obedient seed. Jacob was. So what does the obedience have to do with this? It has to do with the will to want to please Yah. One was carnal and one was spiritual. I want to plant my own seed. I want to raise my seed however I want to. And then another one says, I just want to do whatever Yah wants me to do. And so then you see the residual effect of an obedient seed is more obedient seeds. Kind produces like kind. Apples make apples. Oranges make oranges. Lemons make lemons. And guess what? All those things on the planet are obedient. Guess who's not obedient? Us. We want to do our own thing. I want to pick my own seeds. I want to plant my own seeds. I want to water them like this. I want to make this fruit and put animal parts in it, and there's a GMO, and we do that. The plants don't do that. We do our own thing. And so it says, when a man has a firstborn, it's not always God's firstborn. He chooses his own firstborn. My firstborn are the firstborn of those who are obedient to me. Yeah, you might have a firstborn, you might really love them, but guess what? I don't like them because they don't listen. We like that with some kids, like, you know what, I like that kid, but not those other ones. Now, it's not petty, but it's just, you know what, that kid doesn't listen. And so, you know what, that is your kid because you're not making them mine. But this one, I can work with this one because it's an obedient kid. I'll take this one with me. We do it all the time. Okay, so the seed is in the fruit, and if the fruit is bad, guess what can't come from it? Good seeds. I have some trees at the house we didn't water during this drought, and they look really nice and they put on leaves, but guess what? They don't have no fruit, and they're fruit trees. I need to cut them down. They're just taking up nutrients and they're useless. They're firewood for me now. So it's the same thing with, if you're a tree and you don't produce any fruit, I can't go to this barren tree and take a leaf and plant a leaf in the ground. I need fruit so that I can take the seeds out of the fruit and plant them in the ground and make more trees. So the word for seed in Hebrew, I told you I don't have no more Hebrew. It's zerah. And I'm not going to write in Hebrew because I said I wasn't. And the other one, and in Greek, it's funny, because I just said this, and I wasn't being graphic, but the Greeks are sometimes graphic. Spermata. Okay, so this is Hebrew, zerah. This is Greek, spermata. Now, Greek obviously always likes to deal with form. Form is a seed. In the ancient Hebrew, remember I showed you this little picture of the tents? A seed looked like this. If you were looking at this, there's a word called a noon. It looks like that. Funny, they did not have microscopes, believe it or not. And they knew what a seed looked like. You know why? Because the seed that you plant in the ground also looks like that. It sprouts like that. So, the word is zerah, spermata. The Messiah, now we're getting to the good stuff, right? Is the seed. Because guess what he is? Anybody know? Who is he? No, but who is he? Come on. Anybody? He's the Word. You heard the parable, right? John chapter 15? There's a John chapter 15, or is it Matthew 8:3 or 8:13? Look, nobody knows, not even me. The Word, the seed is the Word of Yah. He does a whole parable how the seed falls on good ground and stony ground. And this, and he says, let me tell you what this parable means. The seed is the Word. Oh, he told us, so we don't have to guess anymore. So then the Word can't be bad because the Word brings forth good fruit. And then he says, all Scripture is profitable for, teaching, correcting. All these things are pruning and nurturing. They're seed terms. I'm going to blow your mind right now. Guess what Jesus was not? He was not a carpenter. I know. We've heard that all the time, right? How many cabinet-making sermons do you hear about that he gives? How many table-making sermons do you hear about? How many chair-making sermons do you hear about? You know why everybody says he's a carpenter? Because although we say we believe that Yah is the father of Yeshua, that he wasn't born of a man, you keep attributing his father, Joseph's job to him. Joseph was a carpenter. But guess who his father is? Yah. And what is Yah? He's a husbandman. He's a gardener. So his son would in turn be a gardener. Guess what all of Yeshua's parables about? Gardening. Whatsoever went out to sow a seed. There were two men standing in a field. And this is over and over and over again. Because guess what? That's what he did. He did what his father did. He was about his father's business. I come in my father's word. I come in my father's name. I know, it's mind-blowing. It did that to me too. So, if Yeshua is a seed and the word is a seed, then Torah, or our obedience to his word and his law, is the fruit and the evidence that we have his seed in us. Because if you bear your own fruit and it comes out and it doesn't mirror anything that God does, guess what? You got your own fruit. That's not his fruit. Let me tell you how imperative this is, and guess what? I'm almost done. You're in John chapter 15, and I need somebody's Bible because I came up with that one. It's written down. That'll work. Or yeah, you got a real one? Okay. Right. I know a lot of older people feel like that when they look at. Yeah, they look at phones. We pull our phones like, you don't have a Bible, you got a phone. So, and sometimes when I'm reading, I'm like, I don't have a Bible, I have a phone, and it's not the same. Okay, this is a little lengthy, and I'm gonna read this with a lot of times in English, we don't read with like periods and commas and the inflections that are there, because we don't want to really understand. It's called comprehension. Okay? So, I am the vine, and my starting in verse 1, like a boss. No. John chapter 15, verse 1. I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, so you can be in him and not bear fruit, okay? He takes away. And every branch that bears fruit, he prunes it that it might bear more fruit. You are already clean because of the word which I have spoken to you. Abide in me, and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine. So neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. Oh wait, we the vine, and he the branches. No. He who abides in me, and I in him, he bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. No thing. Here it is. This looming conjunction that everybody hates and nobody says that God or Jesus ever used because they unconditionally love us, right? I'm going to show you some conditions. If anyone does not abide in me, he is thrown away as a branch and dries up. And they gather them and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. If you abide in me, and my words, can't just abide in Jesus, you have to abide in his words too. And my words abide in you. Ask whatever you wish, and it shall be done for you. By this is my Father glorified, that you bear much fruit, and so prove to be prove? We have to actually prove to do something. We can't just not do nothing. Prove to be his disciples, my disciples. Just as the Father has loved me, I have also loved you. Abide in my love. Stay in my love. Follow my word. Do what I say. Are we all following that? Mm-hmm. Am I making up something? Because I could be. Right? If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love. If. Not if you don't, or if you want to. If. Okay. I have kept my Father's commandments. So if the Father's a husbandman and he planted the seed, then the son can't bear a different fruit. How would that be possible? He planted the seed and I'm going to do something different now. I'm going to bear my own fruit. The seed can only do what was been planted in it. So if I kept my Father's commandments and you are an extension of me, then guess what you're going to do?
It's my Father's commandments.
Whether you like it or not. Or if not, we can go back up and we can read that part again. But I don't think we want to go back up. These things I have spoken to you, that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be made full. So, I know we always hear what Yeshua says, but we never, ever, ever actually take it for what it says. Because as soon as you read this verse, it goes, oh, well, you know what? That's not exactly what that means. What he's saying is, the greatest commandment is to love. Oh, there's an abstract word. How do you love? You may know how to love?
Obey.
Right. If you love me, you keep my commandments. I'm going to give you another one since I said that. 1 John 3:4. It also says, is that the same one? If you love me, you keep his commandments. If not, guess what he calls you? He says you're a liar. That's in the Bible. I didn't make that up. I'm not calling anybody a liar. He says that if you say you love me, but you don't do what I say to do, guess what? You're a liar. You know why? Love is another one of those abstract words. It makes me feel, and I like it, and I don't. No. Love literally means to give. I gave you something. If you don't reciprocate what I gave to you, guess what? You don't love me. You can say you love me. You can do the lip service thing, but you don't love me. Okay. So, 2 verse 3? Okay. 1 John 2:3. So, remember in the Bible, you hear these words, I knew. And she knew such and such, and she bore fruit. And she knew such and such, and she became pregnant. And this person knew this person, and they did this. And what we all knew that they had relations, and then a baby came, right? So guess what happened? They planted a seed. I knew you, you bore fruit. If I didn't know you when you got pregnant, I'm like, I didn't know you, how'd that happen? Like Joseph said to Miriam, I didn't plant no seeds, I promise. It didn't happen. Okay, so the seed can only be planted through an intimate relationship. I can't just hug you and then know you, right? If I did, somebody lying, I don't know who I'm going to say, it didn't happen. So, John chapter 17, and my verse is gone, so if somebody can Google that real quick. I have the right here. It says, and this is life eternal, that they might know thee, the only true Yah, and Yeshua the Messiah, whom thou hast sent. Intimate. You can't know somebody you don't know. I can't just bump shoulders and be like, I know him. Don't you just hate that? When somebody claims they know you and they say a whole bunch of stuff about you and they ain't never met you really like that, you're like, you don't even know me, because if you knew me, you probably wouldn't even like me. It happens. And that's a lot of the reason with people with, I love God. I love Jesus. You don't know him, because if you knew him in your condition right now, you wouldn't like him, because he would be doing a whole lot of changing. It was, John 17. Did you find it?
Yeah, that's
17.
I
told her, I said, I know you know about Mark.
Exactly. So, did you hear?
No.
Go ahead.
It's the priestly prayer.
It's the priestly prayer. Right. So, how do you know him and you never met him? If you knew him, a lot of us, when people tell us what he really wants, we get mad. Because guess what? We don't like him. We don't like that him that somebody's telling us. We like the him that we think we know. I like the one that I created for myself. I have my own God. You got your own God. No, we have family. We all have the same daddy. You just don't know this side of daddy because you want to stay all the way over there on the other side of the house, play your phone. And you don't know the daddy really deep. The daddy don't just buy stuff all the time. Go to Matthew chapter 7, verse 23. And I'm not here already. So this is what Yeshua is talking about when, actually I'm going to read the whole thing because I don't ever, Matthew chapter 7, 23. Okay, but let's start at verse 13. Enter by the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the way is broad that leads to destruction. I get this all the time, and I might answer some of your questions. How do you know that you have it right and everybody else has it wrong? Well, first of all, I don't have nothing. First, it's not mine. But what separates a person that knows the truth from a person that does not know the truth is somebody in their ear most of the time. Because if this relationship is individual, then I should be able to pick this up and I should be able to do whatever is in here and we should all agree on it, right? Why do we not agree? Because a bunch of people with degrees don't agree. And then we follow those people with degrees that don't agree, and then we don't agree, and then we split up and make denominations. A house divided, guess what? What does it do? Can't stand. So he gives us his word so we can be one, so we can't stand. So if there's a broad path and everybody's doing that, people say, well, everybody else is doing this and you're not doing this, you're wrong. But he says, narrow is the gate for him, but broad is the path to destruction. So I'm going to assume that if everybody's doing something, that maybe that's what I probably shouldn't be doing if I'm listening to what he says. So I'm going to be accountable for me. My accountability for me is I can't ride to heaven on somebody else's coattail. I can't say, I didn't know that because my pastor told me not to know that. And God's going to be like, but what did I say? I'm your daddy. So you listen, all of us have parents. If you listen to what somebody else said over your parents, if I said, I told you not to go outside. Well, such and such told me to go outside. I'm not whooping them. I'm whooping you Because you know what I said? Same way the Yah is. I told you, I didn't leave any guesswork for you. I put it down. And with multiple people, lots of writers saying the same thing over and over again. And then I literally came in the flesh, just by, if any chance you had any doubts about what I said, and I told you the same exact thing again. Okay, so it says, for the gate is small and the way is narrow that leads to life. Lead life, bringing forth fruit, seeds. Beware of the false prophets, and I forgot this leaving here before I said what I said, who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. You will know them by their fruits. They say they have my word. What kind of fruits do they put off? Or is it fruit of my word? He said, grapes are not gathered from thorn bushes, nor figs from thistles, are they? Even so, every good tree bears good fruit, but the bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot produce bad fruit, nor can a bad tree produce good. Didn't I just tell you guys this? He says it. There's no guesswork. Read the stuff for yourself. Let him tell you. You be accountable to him. You just say, I did what you said. Oh, you didn't have to do all that. Okay, well, that's good, but I tried. And it says, every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown in the fire. So then you will know them by their fruits. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, or Master, Master will enter the kingdom. Not everybody in church crying out and calling on Jesus and having a hissy fit is going to heaven. The statistic even for Caucasian Americans, because they do all those big statistics for Southern Baptists and stuff, they said that 80% of people in church do not know anything about the Bible. They don't even, if you ask them, how are you saved? They would say, oh, because Jesus came. They have no clue. 80%, that's who go to church every single week. I'm talking about Celebration, Hillsong, all these places. 80%, that's the demographic. That's way too big when we all hold the same book. And it says, it says, we'll enter the kingdom of heaven. But he who does the will of my Father, did he say who does my will because I have a different will? No, he who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name? Did we get up and preach in your name? We said your name. They're going to be like, well, kind of, sort of, because you didn't know me. Because if you knew me, you would have known my name because you would have read it. And if you knew me, you would have wanted to have an intimate relationship with me. You would want to know certain things about me that other people don't know because that's who I talk to, those who know me. And he says, and your name casted out demons. So people say, I prayed and God paid my bills. I prayed and somebody got well. I prayed and this happened. I know that I'm saved because I did this. Yeah, no, not really. Because guess what? It's all his family. Even when he said, while we were yet sinners, he still did something for us. So while you are yet in darkness, he's still going to sustain you because he wants you to come around to the truth. Okay? And he says, and in your name to cast out demons, and in your name perform miracles? Like, didn't we do all this stuff? How could I not be yours? And I was doing all this stuff. I'm out here feeding the hungry. I'm out here preaching every week. I'm teaching Sunday school class. I'm teaching my kids all this stuff. How can I be doing all this stuff and you still not know me? He says, and then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you practicers of what? What's right there? Lawlessness. Oh, but you hate my law. But you still want to come to my house. You can't come to my house and break my rules. You can't come to my house and break my rules. I will find the slickest way for you to never come back. Real nicely, like, let's just not invite them over anymore. I really care for them. So then he must want us to do something. So he said, I never knew you. So I dealt with the whole idea of what new means. New meant I never had an intimate relationship with you. You might have known my name. We might have rubbed shoulders a couple of times. You might have called out to me when you was in trouble. But you never knew me. Okay. So it says, endeavoring to keep the unity of spirit and the bond of peace. Now this is Ephesians 4:3-6. This is one body, one spirit, even as ye are called in the hope of one hope of your calling. One Yah, one faith, one God and Father of all, who is above all and through all and all of you. You know the common theme of that? One. Because guess what? It's one seed, one word, one father planting one seed. That's it. Now there's another father who's planting seed, and that's the devil. And Yeshua said that a lot of times. Oh, no, your father not Abraham. Your father's the devil. I can tell by your fruit. You don't want to listen to nothing nobody has to say. You Satan's kids. You look like wheat, but you are tare. You look real familiar, but I don't know you. Romans chapter 11. And I'm covering a lot of these New Testament verses because there are a lot of the ones that a lot of people are convincing us that tell us that we don't have to listen to the Father. And you know why that bothers me so much? Because do we really believe that Jesus is Yah in the flesh or not? Because if we believe that he's God in the flesh, then we have to believe that he's the Father, which means that his words don't change. You know how many times in the Old Testament, and I don't, if you know, tell me. If we'll get to question and I'll answer. He says, I am Yah, only I can save you. I'm your God, only I can save you. You know what that means? I am your Elohim, I am Yeshua. Literally is what that means in Hebrew. If you read it in Hebrew, he says, in the Old Testament, I am your Elohim, I am salvation, Yeshua. He says it. And there's no guesswork in the Bible. There's none. So if you get to the New Testament, there's a different person telling you something different, then he's not that person. He's not the Father. He's not the right seed. Please run. But like, just go for it. Okay, Romans. Okay, I'm good. I'm done. Romans chapter 11. And I don't know why your pages are sticking together, because unless your Bible don't have Romans, you got one of the Bibles where people just tear out pages because they don't want to do what it says.
You don't like Romans? Or the sheet change.
Oh goodness, the Bible probably older than me. Okay, Israel is not cast away. I'm going to give you guys something, and you go home and study it, because I'm not going to have time to break this down to you. There is not two separate churches. There's not like God's little Old Testament people that he like got mad at because they killed him. And then there's like this New Testament people. Because what? Do we believe in polygamy? I mean, some of us. But do we scripturally believe in polygamy?
No.
So is God a polygamist?
No.
I'm not talking about polygamist. I'm talking about polygamist. He got like little wives everywhere, and one house he let do one thing, another house he let do another thing. You know who got real jacked up behind that? Solomon. So God doesn't do that. So I don't have a little Christian church where they can do whatever they want to do. And I don't have my little Hebrew church and they can do whatever they want to do. And then I'm just going to make them all, I'm going to make some rules that balance it out. These people have to do this. These people don't have to do this, but they're all in my house. How wrong would that be if half the kids in your house had one set of rules, another half the kids in your house had another set of rules? That would cause some serious problems, right? Go figure. All the problems we have between religious groups. It's division. He hates division. He literally says, I hate it. I hate it with the passion. I made one law for, guess what? The homeborn and the sojourner. You know what that means? For those that are born in this house and those that stop by. Everybody has the same rules. Now, obviously, there are some rules. And I'm not going to say dietary laws because that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about killing things. Because guess what? I kill my own son so you don't have to kill anything else. Because I never delighted in sacrifices. He tells us that I delight in, guess what? Obedience. I like obedience better than sacrifice. Don't sacrifice that for me and you're not obedient. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, Romans 11.
Starting with 1.
Verse 1. I say then, this is Paul talking, because I know people say, but Paul. And there's a guy named Brad Scott. He says, our children are going to think that Paul's name is but Paul. Because every time somebody tells us something, they say, but Paul, but Paul, his name is Lucas. He said it, but we will. Because that's an excuse. It says, I say then, God has not rejected his people. Why has he not rejected his people? Because the seed is in Abraham. He said, and your seed shall be blessed. I had a seed even before I had a little family of seeds in Jacob. I had a whole family. And all of them. So he says, his people has he? May it never be, for I too am an Israelite. No way, Paul's an Israelite. He's not a Christian. Dang it. Lost another one. A descendant of Abraham of the tribe of Benjamin. God has not rejected his people whom he foreknew. Guess what? I've been planting my seed over here. I'm just now planting my seed in Gentiles. And believe it or not, a lot of us are not Gentiles. That's just the reality. You can look that up at another time. Or do you not know what the scripture says? So now he's saying, y'all ain't read your Bibles? You know, the scripture says in the passage about Elijah, how he pleads with Yah against Israel. Lord, Lord, they have killed thy prophets, they have torn down thine altars, and I am alone left, and they are seeking my life. He's like, your people is raggedy. They don't. He says, but what is the divine response? What did God say back to Elijah? He says, I have kept for myself 7,000 men who have not bowed their knee. There's a remnant. There's a seed. There might be a few, but there's a few people still doing what he told them to do. And he says, in the same way then, there has come to be at the present time, oh no, here's the word, a remnant according to God's gracious choice. Guess what? There's only one tree. He said some branches were cut off so that you could be put in. Did he say some branches are cut off so we can plant a whole new tree and then they can hop in that tree? No, he said some branches cut off so you could be in the family. So guess what? You're not starting a new family. You're getting into this old tree. You better figure out what the old people was doing in this tree and what they did wrong that you're currently doing so you don't make those same mistakes. Okay. So he says, now this is the end really this time. No, seriously. Living in a house with the Father requires obedience. Until you are obedient, you cannot see the love of the Father. Isn't that interesting? How can you see it if you're not obedient? Because I'm always having to whoop you. Like, dang, you can't even let me be good to you. You always doing stuff, and I look like a bad parent. I feel like that sometimes. Like, dang it, every day I have a terrible too. So guess what she does? She just, you're like, why did you do that? I'm just going through some things right now. So you can't even, sometimes I can't even be nice all day. Time out. Go over here. You go to your room, it's nap time. We never get to play. Guess what me and Jay get to do? She getting a lot better. We play all the time. I'm probably like, Mommy's fun. Yeah, because now that you're understanding obedience, I don't always have to be on you about your obedience. That's what the law is, a schoolmaster. The law teaches you to be obedient so that you can have and experience your faith. Because now I don't have to keep telling you what to do. You know what to do. So now you just keep blessing you, and it's so fun. We get ice cream and candy and everything's all good because you're obedient. Okay, so it says, as long as we are in rebellion to Yah, we can't see his blessings. It is not until we become doers of the word that we understand true joy. A good father delights in an obedient child, and a good child loves a good father. Yah is our heavenly Father, and as we pray to him, we need to pray so that we are able to seek his will for our lives. We are to allow the water of truth to water the seed in our heart, so that at judgment he looks at our fruit that shows obedience and having yielded 1,000-fold. So he does not have to say, I didn't know you because I don't see my seed in you.
Question answer?
Questions. I want to answer no questions. Okay. Questions. I'm going to answer your question, maybe. Go ahead.
Can you go back over Zerah and Spermata?
Okay. So, is this still? Okay. So, a zerah they kind of mean the same thing, but this one is more in the abstract. So you're getting a lot of terms like bearing, like sperm to lay with a woman. The spermata is the Greek, and the zerah is the Hebrew. So, but zerah doesn't only have a sexual connotation, but it also has a land connotation. So it goes back to the concrete. He was saying that everything goes back to something you see, touch, taste, feel. Well, if I had never been in an intimate relationship, then I wouldn't understand the Greek term for the most part. But in the Hebrew, every kid worked outside. You worked in the garden, so you would understand what a seed was. Activity, life. You plant a seed in the ground, it comes up. You would see this. So this is a more concrete form, where spermata obviously deals in a more abstract form, which is more with the relationship.
Seed, but more the
different
language.
language.
More concrete.
The zerah is more concrete, yes. Anybody else?
Are you saying the same concept, different scenario?
Exactly. So when you have what the Greeks did when they translated the Bible, and I'm not knocking what they did the best they could. But if you were, say, like for us, I've never been to England. So we were talking about this the other day, there's some English things I don't know. If I say I'm going to the bathroom, guess what? I'm going to the bath, like I'm going to the bath in this bathroom, right? So but for them it's I go to the lavatory, you know, like, or to the toilet. I'm literally going to the toilet. I'm telling you where I'm going. You don't have to guess. So it's a little different. They understand the language better. Our language is a bunch of languages put together. And so when we define things, we use a whole bunch of different words to try to get to something. And because we don't do anything anymore, like you're pretty sure at your age group, you worked outside, you know what it was to pick fruit, to see fruit grow on trees and other stuff, where my generation, you could fool us. You could be like, this grape came off this tree. I mean, like, grapes come off trees? Oh, that's interesting. I like that. You know grapes come off vines. I'm pretty sure a lot of people my age probably don't. So you always keep the meaning in the Hebrew because it's called bioagricultural. It's biological, people, anything you can on your body, anything in the earth is going to define a word. With the Greek, sometimes it could be a statue or something that doesn't even exist anymore, so you can't get back to the original word.
So that's why we stay so confused, because we don't have the original. So that's why everything is abstract, like Rabbi was saying.
Right.
You hear a word, that word means something different to everybody.
It does.
But what does it really mean?
And people tell you, well, we don't know. And the reality is they don't know. There are people who do know, because there's people who are being obedient to this word. And if you're keeping on doing what he's saying to do, you're going to know these things, because guess what he's going to do? He's going to tell you and reveal them to you because you're being obedient. No, you don't want to know, because if you know, you have to change. You have to do something.
When you say, you need to look at that, because in West Fresno, it's living in West Fresno, it was raised around the cotton field, grape fields, and all of them. And Martin Luther King is Martin Luther King. It has no meaning to me. But when you say fig, because in West Fresno, we have nothing but orchard. And my mom was telling me one day, she was sitting outside and she was just sitting. She said, when I first got to Fresno, she said there wasn't no roads. She said there wasn't no roads. So when you go back in West Fresno, you have walnut trees there. When you go to fig, it was fig trees. When you hit Orange Street, it was oranges there. When you hit Cherry Street, it was cherry trees.
Right.
Wow.
So you're going back to the concrete. I don't have to guess where I am. I'm on Cherry Street. And if I go keep going down Cherry Street, I'm going to hit Walnut. And I live right on the corner of Cherry and Walnut. Now you'd be like, but you got to memorize street names now, and it makes it more complicated, because our people, they've made things so much easier than we do now.
Fresno is agriculture.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you don't know the history of it, you can't even visualize it.
Yep.
Okay. So relating to what you're saying, you're talking about the origin.
Right.
And then with the origin, names get changed
Right.
with different cultures.
Yep. Yep. And they do. And so one of the things that I push, for me, I don't hold anybody else to my standard, but what I push is, I don't want to, just because I'm uncomfortable with something don't mean that I can change it or that's right. You know what I mean? Like if I come to your house and I sit on the couch, I'm like, this couch is facing weird. Let's turn this couch. You'd be like, move my furniture. Same thing with names. When people come to this country, because America is like that, it's really arrogant. It's a really arrogant place. I know a lot of Asian people change their names. They're like, my name's Kim. I'm like, your name is not Kim. My name is Brian. Your name is not, you are, no offense, but you just got here. Like, your name is not Brian. So what's your real name? And they'll tell you what their name is. Like, oh, I want to learn your name. It might be hard for me to say, because sometimes my mouth don't make the same sounds in that language, but it's respect. I don't want somebody saying, oh, your name's too hard, I'm just going to call you M. Like, I don't even want to be your friend then. Like, you don't even want to know my name.
But that just, even people, of a name of Spanish origin. It's like, oh, I can't pronounce Jorge. I'm just going to call you George.
Right.
It's like, but that's not his name. So you just want to give him a new name because you feel like you can't pronounce it. So again, it's disrespectful to say, well, I can't.
So nobody else should either. I'm going to make fun of you.
I'm going to give you a new name and call you George. And people are just like, okay, well, I guess it's
I'm George now.
I'm George.
And they do that with God's word too. They're like, I don't really understand why you made people do that, so I'm just not going to do it. Okay. Or just change it completely. And so that's where we sit now in that part where you're sitting in a very high seat of judgment. God did everything right the first time. So if you go and change it, then it's showing it's a lack of respect. It's just
different translations, and people are going, oh, but I understand it's better. No, but that's not right.
Right, because you're not gonna get it all, and we want it all. We've been on milk a long time. Like some of us are older, and we still get off the bottle and dig a little bit deeper. I believe personally, and I'm gonna take another question. I believe personally that the most important thing in my life is this, the Bible. Because I can't take my degree with me when I leave here. I can't take my children. I can't take anything. I have to be responsible for me and my eternal salvation. And so I'm not going to play with that. I'm not going to let it be up to somebody else's interpretation or what they mean. Because the same spirit that brought you to your salvation is the same one that's supposed to lead you to your whole walk. You don't get walked in to the Father's house by the Spirit and then the pastor take your hand, I got you from here. No, I got in the Father's house. I want to dwell with the Father. I don't want to dwell with you. I'm going to fact check you just like everybody else because I'm going to see if you're a wolf or a sheep. Amen. And it don't mean I don't like you. It doesn't mean I don't care about you. It doesn't mean I don't like my little social club that my church has turned into. That's all good and fine. But at the end of the day, I can't say my pastor said.
I won't even try no more.